I'm Mr. Pottsable, Joshua Potts, always with the brother with the same mother, Aaron Potts, Super Hot Potts, and you're watching and listening to your favorite two black runners every single
Two black, Tuesday. And for those listening on this Tuesday, you heard that applause. We're live.
That's crazy.
We're live
That's
in
crazy.
New York City, bro.
No, this is our third time ever doing a podcast like with guests in person. Like last time was this August in the pre-classic with Chris Chavez and then some of the guys we met at New Gen. Now this time we have like some great guests.
Olympians.
Like some
Olympians,
legends.
all-stars.
Yes. Crazy. Should we just introduce it?
Yeah, man, just introduce them. You know what it is.
You know. First up, we got the high school legend on the track and cross country. I ran against this dude in high school, and he destroyed me. It wasn't even a competition. I pretty much wasn't in the race, but it's because he was a part of that NAU dynasty too. That's still going right now. He was a big part of that, and then also he's a 2020 Olympian at 5,000 meter finalist. He's the third fastest ever in the NCAA. Luis Grijalva, Louis G on the podcast.
What's
Luis
good?
Grijalva, thank you for joining us. Then also beside him, we got another legend. I like this stat right here. I'm gonna say first in her village to receive a degree. I like that one real good. And then also, she is the 2020 Olympic Trials Marathon Champion, 12th in the NYC Marathon. She has a marathon time of 2:26. Aliphine Tuliamuk is also joining us on the podcast. That's some amazing stats, bro.
That's an amazing stat, and to be with our guests live is amazing. And just to start off, Luis, Aliphine, how are you enjoying New York so far? How's your stay been? I mean, Luis, I know you just got in, but how are y'all feeling? Jet lagged at all?
Not too bad. It's my my first time ever in New York since I was here when I was a year old. But feeling pretty great. I love the city. I like the skyscrapers and just a different atmosphere from the mountains to the cities, for sure.
Then for you, Aliphine, how are you enjoying it?
Feeling really good. Got here 2 days ago. Last night came here with you with some people, and we had a really good event. And then went out and had a glass of wine. So I feel good.
I like that. We followed suit with you last night too. But just to start off, we have our two Olympians, and last year's Olympics were very unconventional. But when did that Olympic dream start for you? Let's start off with Luis.
Yeah, so my Olympic dream was pretty odd for most people, just because, as a lot of people know, I'm on DACA, and what DACA basically is it kind of protects me to be in the United States, but the only thing with that is I can't leave the United States, so it was kind of an issue there, but it kind of started out, I got the Olympic qualifier in my last college race for NCAA, so I ran 13:13, and I think the time was 13:13.5, and I ran 13:13.2, I believe. Mm-hmm. And so it was kind of odd just because I knew I could go to the Olympics and represent Guatemala for my country, but it was weird because I couldn't leave the country because of my situation. But it kind of began in June, and as soon as I signed with HOKA and Flint Sports, I kind of knew it could become a reality where it was possible, and I was really fortunate and lucky to have that. It was stressful, but have that last month of it being taxing, but being able to go to the Olympics was insane.
When you were a kid, did you ever think about going to the Olympics? If that was ever a goal for you at all?
Yeah, for sure. I think kind of in elementary school and middle school, there's always a possibility, like seeing it on TV and seeing all these runners and even other professional athletes just compete, like watching it on TV was pretty intense. But I think it was a little dream when I was it was a big dream when I was a little kid, and just for it to become a reality was insane.
For you, Aliphine, was it similar about when you were a little kid, you started dreaming about going to the Olympics? Is that when the dream kind of started?
No, bro, no. I started dreaming about going to the Olympics when I was about 12 years old, and so I met my running hero. Her name is Tekla Lorupe, and she's the first African woman to win New York City Marathon. This is like back in the day, of course. And so I was going to this, little track meet, and I met with her, and I was barefooted, and she was so impressed, with the races that I had done so far. And she's like, I'm going to give you a pair of shoes. And she's like, and by the way, I'm getting ready to go run the Olympics. And I'm like, what is that? And so she explained to me, and she was getting ready to run the 2000 Olympics. And I believe that was the day that my Olympic dream was born. This is back in 2000. So that's like, what, 21 years ago?
That's when I was born.
Oh,
Crazy.
now I feel so old.
What's crazy though too is for both of you all, you know, you had this dream of making your Olympics your entire life, and Luis, like you said, you qualified, and then you have the DACA situation, you know, lingering over you. Aliphine, you qualify, and then you're blessed with a baby girl, and at the same time too, they're trying to, you know, not allow you to bring her with you. So, what is just one thing overall from COVID you took away from it, good or bad?
Yeah, you have to understand, like, you have to be safe for everyone, not just for yourself. And sometimes the Olympics it was postponed for a year just for pandemic safety and issues. But yeah, I think the good that's come out of this is just knowing that, like, I will always have running to have my back no matter what, through the good, through the bad, and in situations. I think for me, like, not competing for a year for COVID was pretty tough on all of us, but I'm sure I wasn't the only one in this situation. And there's people who lost their jobs and couldn't get income for their families. So I always had to be be blessed and be fortunate to just be aware of others, because it might be bad for me, but I know for a lot of other people it's worse. So just always try to be happy and have a positive mindset.
Yeah, most definitely. I find it for me, too, that running's always been like an outlet when things aren't going the right way. So especially in COVID, to have like that consistent like running when there was nothing really happening made me feel like something was happening at times. That was my good thing. For Aliphine, what was your one good thing or one bad thing that happened in COVID that you can take away from it?
Yeah, so one good thing that happened because of COVID was I had my daughter. Her name is Zoe. She's now 9.5 months old. So that was a really good thing. I always, knew that I wanted to go to the Olympics, but I also knew that I wanted to have a family. And when COVID happened, I remember thinking, well, I got New York City Marathon in the fall. And when it looked like we weren't going to have New York either, I was like, okay, I'm just going to have a child. And so that was really good. But like, Luis said, aside from that, it was really difficult, for all of us. And I think that we all came out of that knowing how awesome it is to have human interactions, and I feel like we will never take for granted again being together, being close to each other, and definitely running. Like I think a lot of people discovered running, and not just me, but I realized then that I really needed running, not just because I get paid by HOKA to do it, but also because it's just such a stress reliever. It's just a way of life, and I feel like a lot of people were able to start running, and I'm really glad that we all get to continue to do that, and we all continue to enjoy the human interactions.
Yeah, for us, we started this podcast in like 2019 of December. So like once COVID hit, it was honestly an opportunity, because Zoom came out, as we all know, and I was like, well, athletes aren't doing nothing. Let's just DM them and see if we could get them on the podcast.
Shoot your shot.
And and it kind of worked out for us with that happening. But I wanted to ask both of you too: is there anything that you learned about yourself through, going to the Olympics, COVID? Is there anything you learned about yourself, like what you need, or you were saying running really helped you in that way, but anything that helps you grow that you learned over that time?
I think for me, it just honestly just like no matter what, even if I'm not competing or if there's not an upcoming race, like I said before, it's like I think running is always there to be there for my backup. Like whenever I have stress or when I'm happy or I'm sad or angry or anything, I always look out towards running to kind of be my therapist, I guess.
Yeah.
It just the way when you run on an easy day or like how long you go, it just depends how you feel. But sometimes it just like frees your mind sometimes, and just I don't know, it's just different. When I think running it's a cool sport because like the more you put into it, the more you're gonna get out of it, So I think it's unlike basketball or football where I feel like you have to have like some kind of genetic skills, but running is your own experiment, your own body, where you could whatever you put into it, the more you're gonna receive and put back forth to it.
Yeah, most definitely. And I feel like those runs too, where running does become your therapist. Like those low key be the best runs sometimes.
Most
Like I'd be
definitely.
on those runs sometimes and start running like 6:30, 6 minutes. I'm like, dang, I'm low key Luis Grijalva for a second, like. And I'm thinking about all this stuff, but it's definitely something that really motivates you once you're out there and able to start getting those miles really going. For you, Aliphine, what did you learn about running over these past 18 months now during these hard times?
Yeah, I think the one thing that I learned about myself is that I'm very resilient. Like I named my hats, by the way, Ality Resiliency Beanies, and I started making them in 2019 because I had a stress fracture, and I was supposed to be, the normal 8 weeks out, and then I was like, I don't think I could do this. Little did I know that 2020 was coming and that we weren't gonna run for a really long time. And so I really learned to be resilient. I just learned that I was super resilient. I can do things that I never thought I could. And so what I did in 2020 was I did a lot of crocheting again for my hats. Of course, when I came back from the Olympic trials, everybody wanted to have their hands on it. And I'm like, what were you guys doing? You should have ordered before. Did you not anticipate this? Not just kidding. But so I did a lot of that. And I just realized, the beauty of being a human being is having a family, having people that will always be there for you. And I feel like that, 2020, the isolation in 2020 made me realize, okay, even though I have running and we have so many things going on in our lives, I think it's very important to have those people in your corner, the people that you can always turn to no matter what. And that became clear to me in 2020. And I don't know, I'm just so grateful that I have a great family, that I have running and I have a great running family. That's just awesome.
One thing that I feel like both of you have in common too is you have really good teams behind you. Like Luis, I remember when your DACA situation was happening, the first time I heard about it was through Abdi Hamid posting it on his Instagram, and it really blew up through that. And Aliphine, I know with everyone on NAS, you all are like a little family too. What did it mean to have your teammates having your back throughout all of the hard times?
Yeah, it was pretty special from my situation. Just, it was crazy. So Abdi Hamid made a post on Instagram that kind of blew up on social media. And then, it's a crazy situation. Like I would never thought ever in my life where me and Abdi Hamid are really close, and he lives with me, so we're really good friends. But he's more like a brother to me. But just to have that support system is really huge, and I think everybody needs a support system. But to have that blow up the way it did, it was crazy. It just blew up on social media, on so many platforms, from local newspapers to city newspapers to state newspapers to nationwide. So for it to explode from a little story to a big story was incredible. And the amazing thing about it too was people I didn't even know were supporting me in so many ways. People I never heard of, people I never met, people who I never thought would even try to support me in that way did. And it's pretty special how the running community builds everyone together, and it's awesome and special. To be honest, I would never would have thought I don't think I would have gone to the Olympics without their support, their help at all. Just cause I feel like you need that support, and it's incredible. Sometimes I'm just very grateful and thankful for to have people like that in my life, because without them, my life would have been completely different for sure.
Yeah, it's really great to just have people and day ones that really just rally around you no matter what. And especially NAZ Elite now with Steph and Kellen, you all just whole group of moms, really just that energy. I feel that power that you guys have, really, you can see it through the TV you're watching, or you can see it when you guys run past in the marathon, or even just the bond that you guys share, even just as friends and as women together. And even with the whole entire team as well, with Matt Baxter and Tyler Day. What has it been like for you to have that group around you during these hard times?
It's been really nice to have my NSC family, because just so you guys know, NSC is a professional running team in Flagstaff, Arizona. We have 3 amazing moms, and at the Olympic trials, we went 1, 6, and 8, so we probably outperformed everyone else.
Let them know.
We should have all gone to the Olympics. But so it's really nice to have them. Even when I came back, I didn't know this, but I thought I could just, as an Olympic trials champion, I thought I could just pop out a baby and go back and run and kick everybody's butt. that's not what happened. And so having my teammates really helped. I think there were a lot of times where I would go out running when I started in the beginning, and I just didn't think I could come back. And then when I rejoined my teammates, and they just made things so easy for me, but also in a way so hard because they also kicked my butt, and they were like, yeah, payback. I'm like, what? I thought we were all sisters. But they did help me, though. They were my sisters, and they always had my back. And then going back to 2020 when we were training for the trials, I think that was one of the times that I realized just how important it is to have those teammates that were so close to me. There we were, 6 of us training for this one race, and we definitely got really, really close. And I know for a fact that without NSC Elite, I would not have been able to make it, to the Olympics. I would not have been able to get through those workouts and make it to the Olympics. So it was very special, and I'm just so grateful. They bring out the best in me, us, like as a mom, as a runner, as a human being. So I'm really grateful to have them. And our coach, Ben, who is here this morning, is also awesome. He's not nice when it comes to workouts, but, we like him. We keep him around.
Yeah. And it seems the chemistry on your team, we can all see it. I see it at NAU as well. Aliphine, I think you already answered this question. There was no doubt in your mind that you were going to compete in the Olympics. And I love that you had that attitude. But Luis, did that ever cross your mind with everything going on? Like, man, like I'm not gonna compete, or were you always just kind of like, no, I'm gonna make it happen?
To be honest, I didn't think I was going to be able to compete in the Olympic Games this year just because my situation. And by the time I ran the standard in June 13th, I believe. So kind of like in the middle of June. And I thought by then it was a little bit too late because I already knew all I had to do was run the Olympic standard, but I now will be selected for the team. But the only issue is how would I be able to leave the country and be able to come back. And to be honest, I didn't think I was going to go at all.
Yeah,
and
wow.
Yeah, so
That's crazy.
how the situation played out is I hired my lawyer, Jessica, on July 1st to get a special permit that allows me to leave the country and come back in. And usually this permit takes up to 90 days. And I hired it on July 1st, and then we got the permit within 25 days or so. So on the 25th. So we got it on a Monday, and then 3 days later I had to fly to Tokyo. So it was that
Wow.
it was that close. So yeah, to be honest, we actually booked our flight kind of like 2 days before my first race because we didn't know if I was gonna be able to go, and we want to have that little wiggle room of if we did get the permit, let's see how many just to have a couple days for safety. So yeah, I didn't know I was gonna go until 3 days before my flight or 2 days before my flight, and then I got to Tokyo, and then 2 days later I raced, and then 3 days later for the final. Yeah.
That's crazy.
To
bro.
do all that, then to make the 5,000 meter final, it's
Dude,
really
beast.
Yeah, this man's a beast. This man's a beast. But I think it's like with all that determination, obviously says for you, and you're just a talented athlete as well, to go to the 5,000 meter final and qualify through that semifinal heat. But if you didn't make it to the Olympics because of this DACA and you couldn't get the permission and everything, would you have been satisfied with your season? Would you have been able to be all oh, I got the standard and I got it? Would that have satisfied you, or did you need that extra thing for that to happen?
I would say I would have been satisfied, but as athletes, I think we always strive for the next best thing, and you got to think of for track and field and for athletics, the Olympic Games is only every 4 years, and for track and field athletes, it's the pinnacle of our sport. It's the biggest accomplishment you could possibly receive in our sport. It's only every 4 years, so I don't think I would have been satisfied, honestly. Yeah. Now looking back at it, just the whole experience of being in the Olympic Village and meeting people from all over the world was pretty incredible, and just representing Guatemala, a smaller nation who doesn't have much representation in Olympic Games, was pretty special, and especially making the final two was pretty big for me because I knew if I wanted to go to Olympic Games, especially represent Guatemala, I wanted to do something special with it, and I think making the final it was a really big accomplishment for me at the time where I'm at right now in my running career, and to be able to do that and just I guess how to handle that stress, because literally that last month in July was pretty stressful, of like leading up to the lawyer and the paperwork and
Yeah.
all of that, and then leaving 3 days before, getting the permit, and then 3 days later leaving to Tokyo, and then 2 days later racing. So, yeah, I think definitely I would not have been satisfied at all.
And I think like with on top of that, like both of you have had such a big impact. I feel like even if you like, I feel like Luis, if you didn't make it, the impact that you would have had as like a DACA recipient trying to go out of the country to do such a great thing. And because I know somebody like in cross country that I ran at Mount Sac that who is a DACA recipient and they do cross country, and I know for a fact like he was inspired by your story. And then Aliphine, you fit so many variety of boxes as like the first African American with Sally Kipyego being marathoner, qualifying for that, then coming back from injury, then being a mother as well. Like the impact that y'all made from just going to the Olympics is going to last for such a long time. But for you, Aliphine, to go to like the Olympics with that stress fracture and to drop out of the marathon, like that's hard. And usually in running as well, it's always like time and accolades, and then it's the impact later. And the first thing that we see is that time or that DNF or the injury that may happen. Were there ever times where like that injury and those type of setbacks kind of overwhelmed you, and then how'd you get over that?
Yeah, so you know, it was really awesome when I came back after having a child, and I remember I ran my first race back on July 4th, and it went really well. Actually, it went better than I expected, and at that point, I was still like training was really, really hard. But then once I came back from that race, everything went really well, and I got really excited, and the rest of July went really, really well. And I remember doing my last big effort run, which was a 15-mile steady state at marathon effort, and it went really, really well. And as soon as I did my cool down after that run, I was like, oh, I feel something. But then I was like, it's not a big deal. However, it didn't ended up being a really big deal because I'm not running yet. And so I think I thought that it was going to go away. I just thought that it was just a small thing and it was going to go away. And even at the Olympics, I feel like a lot of my experience was clouded by that because, I mean, my daughter was like 6.5 months old, and a lot of people said you couldn't do it. And I think that was probably one of the reasons why I really pushed myself, because I was like, are you kidding me? You have no idea who I am. You don't know what I've been through, and I'm just going to show you that I can do it. And, in hindsight, I think I might have been a little too excited, and I probably ended up doing runs that I shouldn't have done. I'm sorry, Coach. And so looking back, would I have done things differently? I think I would have. I feel like I got the most out of what I needed to do, and we got so close to actually doing it. And even like the day before the race, I was like, well, I think tomorrow once the gun goes off, the adrenaline and all that is going to kick in. But now that I know it's a stress fracture, I know for sure that there's no way I could have gotten away with that. And so I'm just hoping that a lot of people were still inspired, by the journey. And I think that because I didn't do what I wanted to do, I'm definitely inspired to hopefully make it back again to the Olympics and actually go kick butt. But there were a lot of moms though that reached out to me. A lot of like in the beginning, a lot of moms, especially of like African American kids or like kids of color, saying we are so excited that you got to represent us. At the time when I won the trials, I've never thought about of myself as I'm a minority. I've always been like I'm an American and I'm so excited. I came from a very small village in Kenya, and to be living this American dream is such an incredible thing. And after the trials, it was only when so many people were, like messaging me, and I was like, oh, I didn't realize, wow, okay, this is really cool. And so to have been able to inspire a little girl watching the marathon saying, I want to be that marathoner someday, I feel like a lot of times, Black girls especially are probably like, oh, well, I'm going to go and run the 100 meters, because they've never seen somebody like me running the marathon, because I feel like you can dream to be something that you don't see. And so for them to have seen that, I just feel very honored. And training for the Olympic marathon as a mom, so many moms was really inspired. And actually last night when I was enjoying my glass of wine, and of course my daughter is like being controlling and crying and getting everybody's attention. This mom from Florida came up and said, oh my God, Aliphine, it's you. And I'm like, whoa, chill, sister, who are you? And so she's like, I have 8-month-old daughter, and you've really inspired me, and so there's a lot of women that were inspired by my journey, and I think that's all I could have asked for. I feel like in 2021, women are still being told that if you decide to be a mom, you probably won't be able to perform well. And I feel like with what we did and sharing the journey, a lot of moms are like, or future moms are like, okay, I can do it because somebody is doing it. And I'm definitely, priding myself at creating awareness. Hopefully, we can continue to create awareness so that 20 years from now, if there's a new mom who is going to the Olympics, she won't have to worry about, am I going to be able to take my child with me? Or am I going to choose like between going to the Olympics and, being a mom? I hope that will not be the case anymore.
Aliphine, where does this resilience and perseverance, where does that come from?
I think it just comes from growing up, in a really big family. I'm from a family of 31 siblings. My dad has 4 wives. It's not from one mom. And so I have 7 full siblings, and growing up in a small village, and my parents are really not educated. They don't have like jobs. You kind of learn to work really, really hard to be able to get ahead. And being able to come to the United States, is a dream come true for me, let alone, being able to run at the Olympics representing U.S. And so, like, I have just learned that if I wanted to get somewhere, all I had to do was work my butt off, and I'm in a really good place where I actually have the opportunities as long as I put myself in a good place. And so anytime I have a challenge, I just remind myself that there are people that I left behind in Kenya who don't have the opportunity that I have, and so I don't really have an excuse. I just have to continue to work my butt off, and I want to represent, my country well. I want to represent HOKA well, because it's just incredible to see this company that started not too long ago, and we are kicking butt now, and to have been able to win that marathon trials in the HOKA shoes, that was awesome. I think that, how is our shoe sale for that racing shoe? I think it went up, right? Because I just think that, I'm just cool too, but
About your long-term goals, perhaps one running goal and one life goal?
Luis, you want to start?
Yeah, I think a running goal for me is obviously for kind of more track and field athletes on the track is like kind of the global stage of like the World Athletics or the World Championships or the Olympic Games is always the top priority. And for me, making the final was a big accomplishment this past summer in the 5,000 meters. It was a big accomplishment for me just because it was my first time ever at a global stage where the people, the competition is more in depth, and you got the world record holder in the field, and just everyone's fast and just more aggressive. So for me, a goal for me is learning how to race internationally, just because it's much more aggressive, and people, they pick it up and they slow down and like they fart lick it, it's just a different style. Everyone's a lot nicer in the United States, but globally, like everyone's a lot meaner. They push you, shove you, and like learning how to race in that situation. But long-term goal, probably get a medal at a global stage. I think that would be huge for me. And I think life goal for me is, I think we're running sometimes in the community, in the running world, it's really secretive and you don't know too much about an athlete. And I think we got to change that because, I feel like sometimes you don't know what the top runner in the world is doing, or you don't know too much about a certain athlete. So for me, I kind of want to be just an inspiration to other people and kind of tell my story and my background from where I grew up from and how my story played out in the U.S. and just my situation, because I feel like I can inspire a lot of people to pursue similar mindsets or just help them out and motivate them in some type of way. And I just want to, I think for me, I want to help out people who are mostly young adolescents and just high schoolers mostly, and maybe in the future start something with HOKA to help young adolescents thrive for success in the future. Just because I had a lot of mentors and I had a lot of opportunities where without those people I wouldn't have been here where I'm at right now. Mm-hmm.
Wow. My running goal would be to win one of the major marathons, which is like New York City Marathon, Boston Marathon. And I've won the Olympic trials now, so I am trying to think that I'm in the big league now, right? So hopefully in next year I can come to New York and I'm not, broken again, and I can win New York or win Boston or one of those major marathons, because I think that I have a really good opportunity. And I was telling Mike McManus, who works, my boss, I guess, earlier, that when I trained for the Olympic, after coming back from having a child, and I was training and it just went so well, and I'm like, I really feel sorry for somebody that is going to race me next year or the year after. And so I really think that I have a chance to actually not just show up at the line healthy, but win the race. And as far as life goal is concerned, my God, my life is so tied to running that I'm not sure if I can differentiate it. I think I just want to be the best human being that I can be, as a runner and as a mom and as a role model, to girls in my community, as a role model to, kids of color. I just want to inspire them to dream bigger than they ever imagined possible, and know that if they work really hard, they will be able to get to where they want to be.
Man, this is nice. This is nice. I see a new program for HOKA with Luis's kids, and I see Aliphine winning New York next year. I see that happening. I see it happening.
HOKA, we inspire people. So they're great athletes that align with the brand. I think we have time for maybe one more question, though. One more. All right. No? All right. I'm gonna give it to him. I'm sorry. I said yes too early. We're gonna do it though. We're gonna do it.
I'll try to make it easy on you guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. So obviously, Aliphine, you've been with Ben for ages at this point. Luis, early in the professional career, but a lot's happened over the last 18 months in your personal life. How do you manage the coach-athlete perspective in that relationship to ensure that the human side that you need is well taken care of? Especially, you've been with Mike, so we hear a lot about what Mike Smith brings to the table. So just wondering, as a person, how do you bring that out and make sure that they're respecting you as a person and giving you what you need?
Yeah, so I'm pretty fortunate to have Mike Smith, who's my coach at college for NAU and who's my current coach right now. And just the one thing he always makes sure what I'm doing right is what type of person I'm being. And he always tries for me to be just a respectful human being for sure, and just be positive in so many ways. But he also makes sure that I have time for myself personally. If if I don't want to run one day, I ask him, hey, I don't feel like running, can I take a day off? And he'll be fine. But he always makes, because it's weird, because he always makes sure that when I'm in the heat of the heart of the season, it's really intense, and sometimes you're always going at it. For me, it was pretty intense this whole entire past year, because I had cross country nationals for college in March, and then I had NCAAs in June, and then I had the Olympic Games in August. So it was just going. It was like nonstop going. But he makes sure when I'm on break, and just to relax and enjoy every single moment, because sometimes, it's always intense, but sometimes you always have to be relaxed for sure.
I think for me, I've changed coaches a few times, and I kind of know that I want my coach to respect me, as a human being. I'm not a machine, obviously, and so I feel like the older I've gotten, the more I know what I want from a coach. And so when I'm at practice with my teammates who are here now, I can talk bad about them now. I did not. I think that we all are adults enough to know what we want when we are in training. And so when I am out training, my coach is everything in terms of what he wants me to do. I don't think I know what I need to do when it comes to running. I seek his guidance. But outside of that, he is also like a mentor. If I had a question that is not necessarily running related, I can be able to run by him. I think that he's kind of like a friend in that sense. And so I believe that if you're going to go far, you need coaches that understand you, that, respect you as a human being and wants what's best for you. Like, your health is the priority. As much as we talk about performances, we also want to be healthy. And so you want somebody that is there for you and who is there to hold you back if he feels like what you're doing is going to destroy you, because you want to be able to continue to have that relationship and stay in the sport longer.
All right, well, thank you, Aliphine, for Luis, for joining us, and good luck on everything going forward.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.